Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to break down two concepts that, believe it or not, literally shape the world around us: area and perimeter. And you might not even realize it, but this is stuff you actually use all the time. So, let's dive in and see how it all works.
I mean, have you ever been in that spot where you're trying to figure out just how much paint you need to buy for a room? Or maybe how much fencing you're going to need to keep your new puppy in the backyard? Or even just ordering the right amount of carpet?
Well, it turns out the key to getting all of those things right, it all comes down to understanding two really simple but incredibly powerful ideas from geometry. They are the basic language of physical space, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll be speaking it like a pro. All right, so let's get right to it. What's the actual difference between these two things, perimeter and area? It sounds simple, but getting this distinction right is the key to, well, everything that comes next. Okay, here's the breakdown, plain and simple. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of a shape. Think of it as a measure of length. Area, on the other hand, is the space inside that shape. That's a measure of surface. So one is the frame, and the other is the picture inside it. You know, a really good way to picture this is to imagine you're taking a walk along the very edge of a park. The total distance that you walk, that is the perimeter. It's just a length, a one-dimensional measurement. So what about the area? Well, that's the entire grassy field inside the path you just walked. It's all the space where you could spread out a picnic blanket. It's a two-dimensional measurement because it has both length and width. Okay, so now that we've got the basic idea down, let's apply it to our first shape. And we're gonna start with one you see literally everywhere you look, the good old rectangle. Seriously, just look around you right now. Your phone, that TV screen, the door, maybe a window. Odds are you are surrounded by rectangles. It's just a simple four-sided shape where every corner is a perfect 90-degree angle. So how do we get the measurement for its border? Well, the perimeter is just adding up all four sides. But since the two long sides are the same and the two short sides are the same, we have a shortcut. You just add one length and one width together and then multiply that by 2. Done. Super easy, super efficient. And what about the area, all that space on the inside? That's even easier. To find out the total surface of any rectangle, you just multiply its length times its width. That's all there is to it. This is the simple math that takes us from that one-dimensional border to the two-dimensional space inside. All right, next up, let's talk about a very special, kind of perfect cousin of the rectangle, the square. You can think of it as a rectangle that just decided to be perfectly balanced. A square is just a rectangle that decided all its sides should be the exact same length. Think of a bathroom tile or a single square on a chessboard. It's that perfect symmetry that makes its formulas even cleaner. Because all four sides are the same, the math for the perimeter gets even simpler. You just take the length of one side and multiply it by 4. That's it. And for the area, well, we know it's length times width. But since they're the same number, you're just multiplying the side by itself. And this is where that term squaring a number actually comes from. You're literally finding the area of a square. Pretty cool, right? Okay, we've tackled four-sided shapes, so now let's get into the real workhorse of engineering and design, the triangle. I mean, triangles are just fundamental. They are incredibly strong, which is why you see them in giant structures like bridges and even the roof over your head. But you also see them in everyday things like road signs and, of course, a good slice of pizza. Figuring out the perimeter of a triangle is probably the most straightforward calculation we have. You just measure the length of each of its 3 sides and add them all up. That's the total distance around the edge. Simple as that. Now the area, this is where it gets a little clever. If you think about it, pretty much any triangle is just half of a rectangle. That's why to find its area, we first multiply its base by its height, and then we just chop that result in half. All right, for our grand finale, let's tackle a shape with no straight lines at all. The perfect, elegant circle. And to do that, we have to bring in a very special, almost magical number. So what is a circle? Well, it's just all the points that are the exact same distance from one central point. Think about the rim of a bicycle wheel or a dinner plate. Everything about this shape is governed by one incredible constant number. Okay, we need to take a second here and talk about pi, spelled P-I and written with this Greek letter. Pi is what we call an irrational number, which means its decimals go on forever and never repeat. For any circle in the universe, big or small, if you take its perimeter and divide it by its diameter, you always get pi. It's roughly 3.14, and it's one of the fundamental constants of how the universe is put together. So the perimeter of a circle gets its own fancy name, the circumference. To calculate it, we use our new friend pi.
The formula is just 2 times pi times the circle's radius, and the radius is just the distance from the center of the circle to its edge.
And the area, all the space inside that circle, the formula is just as beautiful. It's pi multiplied by the radius squared. With this one elegant little equation, you can now measure the surface of any circle you'll ever encounter.
So, why did we go through all of this? Does it actually matter? Absolutely. Because these aren't just a bunch of formulas in a textbook. They are the real, practical tools that we use to build and understand our world every single day.
I mean, think about it. From architects sketching out blueprints and engineers designing bridges, to farmers figuring out how much seed to buy for a field, and interior designers making sure a rug fits in a room, having a solid grasp on area and perimeter is totally essential. It really is the math of the physical world. So the next time you look at a room, a garden, or even that pizza, you'll see it a little differently. You'll see the simple, powerful geometry that's holding it all together. Now, there's really only one question left. What are you going to measure first?